Hi, this is Florence from Oak Mama's channel, and this is the program, The Chronicles of a Suburban Farmer's Wife. As I shared in my last video, today I'm going to tell the story of our very first goat or doe on our dairy farm. Her name was Jasmine, and she went through quite a horrendous ordeal here on the farm, and that's what I'm going to share, how it went down and what happened to her finally. So join me for this story. I'm sure you'll pick quite a number of lessons. There's quite a number of things we learned about what to do and what not to do to avoid what happened to Jasmine. So I look forward to seeing you on the other side of the video. If it's your first time here and this is the kind of content you're looking for, make sure you subscribe and make sure you give it a big thumbs up if you'll enjoy the video. I believe you will. So let's get on to it. Jasmine the first. Jasmine was the first ever dairy goat on our farm. She was a Sanin goat, sourced from a farm in Kitui. Jasmine had a good big udder and began to produce about a liter of milk daily after delivery. She was a strong-willed and a little bit stubborn one though. Milking her, especially without a stanchion, at that time was not easy as she often wasn't very cooperative. By the way, if you haven't watched the video about the structures on our farm and modifications made, be sure to check it out. You'll see how a lot has changed in our farm over time. Some months down the line, we wanted her to be served by a buck and actually got one on hire. He was dominant and aggressive, intimidating to everyone, especially me. If you haven't watched the introduction video to this channel, be sure you do to get to know what I'm talking about, where I have come from in matters farming. At this time, I could hardly just be in the same room with a goat, how much less even milk her. Anyhow, I digress. So that night when the buck was brought home, Jasmine was also moved to a different pen where she'd stay with a buck that was lower in height than her usual one. At that time, we had had no incidences at the farm and left the front of the pen open. Early the next morning, we heard some commotion at the farm. I was still very afraid of the buck and imagined that it must have got out of the pen, hence the commotion. So I hesitated and some minutes flew by. I finally had to gather all my courage and check what was happening. When I finally got there, it was a rude shock for me when I found our doe subdued by one of our dogs and one of her hind legs torn apart. All the animals in the farm were alert and noisy, helplessly observing the terrifying situation. It was too little, too late. So finally, when Mr. Farmer got on the ground and saw the situation at hand, the culprit first got thorough disciplining. That is one of our dogs. His first thought for the goat was to have it slaughtered, knowing that it may not survive such an ordeal. I, however, still had some hope that maybe she could be treated and heal well, so we agreed to have the vet come over and give his opinion first. He came and assessed the goat and told us that there was a chance for Jasmine to heal. There, however, was a 50-50 chance that her nerve on that leg was damaged and would therefore be permanently paralyzed despite healing of the wound. He was, however, not convinced that that was the case, and he recommended that we treat the wound and give it about 3 days of observation to know if the nerve had been damaged. He observed knuckling on the hoof of the leg that had been mauled on and said that it was a bad sign, showing high likelihood of nerve damage. A damaged nerve meant a paralyzed leg, hence making the doe unuseful for breeding and dairy production purposes. So to treat the wound, he first washed it with an antiseptic, that is betadine, which he mixed with water, and also shaved off most of the fur around that area of the wound to get a clearer picture of how the wounds looked like. The leg had been beaten on different spots with one major point. After the washing, he applied some ointment on the wound and the areas around it, whose purpose was to keep off flies. He then injected the doe on the neck area with 2 different drugs, one antibiotic and the other anti-inflammatory, that is, to prevent infection and swelling. After the treatment, we got the bark out of the room Jasmine had been initially, cleaned it up thoroughly, and spread out hay on its floor, then took her to rest in there. The bark, having no other business at the farm, had to go back to its home. Hi guys, we are on day 2 of Jasmine's treatment after she was mauled yesterday by one of our dogs, and we're just going to check on how she's doing. Yeah. So here she is. Thank God she survived the whole ordeal. Hi Jasmine. She's been trying to stand up once in a while, and at least yesterday in the morning she didn't eat at all. But later on she tried to eat her dairy milk. I added her some which she did not eat, and my husband chose to put a bandage on her leg. Hi Jasmine. Here it is. As she had continued bleeding a bit yesterday. So she seems to be progressing better. Let's see how it goes by the end of the day. The vet came back on the 3rd day. He assessed Jasmine, whose leg was by then pretty swollen and still knuckling on her hoof. She was also losing a lot of bloody, watery fluid from her wound. Is it called serum? He gave us the options we had, which were to just let her go through further treatment, and if she healed, she'd still not be useful to the dairy farm. Treating her, of course, would cost us more, or to put her down and have nyama choma, that is barbecued meat, which, by the way, is one of the things Kenya is known for. So if you're visiting Kenya, make sure you try it.
Yeah, it's a hard decision we have to make this morning, but we have to.
So the vet said that the nerve is damaged completely.
It's the nerve is damaged. We don't know the extent of the damage. The issue is if now we decide to treat it, it's going to be an extra cost for him. And at the end of healing, we may find that the nerve was actually permanently damaged, and then you still don't have a goat, and you've incurred an extra cost of suturing that treatment. So you're better off now deciding you cut your losses, and yeah, now that's a business decision.
It's a business decision. Might be much more cost effective to put her down and encourage more close trying to treat her. Of course, she's our first go to this farm, so maybe we have a lot of attachment to her. But then at the end of the day, putting her down is still a good decision for the farm. Instead of putting the farm under too much pressure, it's also developing a lot of pain. Anyway, he's given us a baby kid
And milk.
Yeah, he's given us good milk, Jasmine. We're sorry. Oh, now you're eating again. Where were you trying to eat very well? Why are you confusing us again? As the vet says, even litter dogs or puppies born in the same litter still fight. So it's good to provide security around the farm, but separate the more vicious animals from the calm ones like these ones. It's always a learning in the farm. Yeah, we still have to encourage them. Our vet is here, is making a decision.
You will think that was an easy peasy decision for us to make, right? But no. In fact, it was not easy at all, despite the vet's recommendation. We still somehow had hope that Jasmine could heal completely. So hi guys, today we are on day 4. I don't know, farmers, and we still feel like maybe she could make it, like giving her a chance. So we are in quite a dilemma. We are still thinking, do we put her down? Do we slaughter her, or do we give her more time? Though the vet said that, we could give her more time and she could heal, but never be able to be helpful to us in terms of breeding and of course milking her. So, but we are thinking maybe she could still make it, and the other legs get strong and stuff. So let's see what we'll do. Let's first have a look at her. And here she is. Usually we cover the front at night just to avoid the dogs from hurting her in any way. She's actually gaining strength. See, now she can stand up well. Her leg was quite swollen yesterday. I see it's still swollen a bit. So we'll see what to do soon enough. Hi Jasmine. Hi Jasmine, what are you eating? Here's your dairy milk. And some water. So here is Baraka. This is Jasmine's kid. He's about hey Baraka, he's about he was born was it in November, and now we've just begun April, so he's about 4 months old. Now he can eat a bit better on his own, though he still likes to try breastfeeding his mom whenever he can get a chance. He fights for it. So just the thought of him not having his mom, anyway, goats are different, but we'll see how it goes. Finally, about the 5th or 6th day after her ordeal, we observed that her condition was not getting any better. Her leg was still very swollen. Even milking her was almost impossible or very difficult, and we decided that it was probably better to end her pain and also save some of the meat before she died and we lost all of it. Looking back, I think my husband's first instinct was right. We should have slaughtered her right on the first day of the ordeal. I say so because waiting for that long, first of all, cost us for her treatment, and we also lost a lot of meat. Her wound had caused the whole leg and part of the other leg, as well as the udder, to get infected. We had to throw away quite a large part of her meat. Anyhow, Mr. Farmer always says it's always a learning day on the farm. On the positive side of things, we really enjoyed Jasmine's meat. I really didn't expect that for some reason, because she was a dairy goat. I thought that her meat would not be, as nice, because she was not bred for meat. But it turned out like to be the best nyama choma I have ever eaten. It was perfect. It was tender. It was full of flavor. It was lean. It was really nice, and we ate it for quite a while. So yeah, I think that's the positive side of the story. And not to forget that we also still have Baraka, who is Jasmine's kid. So yeah, we can always count our blessings. Of course, we grabbed quite a few lessons from that ordeal that happened to Jasmine, our first goat. And one of them is that if someone is starting a farm, especially a livestock farm, and you want to have your dogs, it's a good idea to to have the livestock and then bring the puppies, and so that you can make the puppies interact with the livestock from when they are really young. Like sometimes leaving them in the pen, for example in the goat pen or the sheep pen, so that they become sort of friends, or they familiarize themselves with the goats, instead of having them view the goats as enemies. And so in our case, we brought the dogs way earlier than the goats, and they were already a bit grown up. So in their mind, or how they picture the goats, is as prey or as intruders to our space. So I'm just thinking, or someone suggested, I think the vet suggested, that would be a better way to approach it. I also learned that we don't need to to be too attached to the goats, especially me. Yeah, as much as we give them names and all that, at the end of the day, they're still animals. So yeah. So because funny enough, it made it so difficult for us to let Jasmine go. But yeah, we learned. We don't need to to get too attached to them. Another thing, of course, is doing the structures, to really look for all the loopholes that might be around in your farm, and that might be safety or health hazards to your goats. I think for us, we didn't think that Jasmine could actually jump out of that house, but she did. Yeah. And also, I think it's also important to really look out for the signs of heat before bringing the mate. Yeah, it just makes the whole mating process a bit easier. Yeah, and that's the story, guys, of Jasmine 1, our very first dairy goat. And I hope you have enjoyed this video as I have. If you have enjoyed it, make sure you like this video. And if you're not yet part of this family, make sure you do subscribe, so that you'll always get updates of the very next video and the many more to come. So after Jasmine left, after Jasmine's demise, we got enabled us to get some more goats, some more dairy goats. And in next week's video, I'll show you how that played out on the day they came to the farm. I'll just give a video of how that was, and I look forward to seeing you then. If you have any questions or comments, be sure to put them there in the comment section below. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. Till next time, bye bye.